And good evening, Northeast Georgia. Don Strength with you from the White County Office of Public Safety at the Mawning Building on the Public Safety Campus here off of Helen Highway in Cleveland, Georgia. We got to talk about some winter weather. Tonight's live broadcast coming to you at about 6:16 p.m. on your Wednesday. We are anticipating a significant severe weather event across North Georgia and particularly across White County as we get into your Friday. So, over the course of the next 5 to 10 minutes or so, we're going to kind of tell you what we think is going to happen, let you know what the forecast is at the moment, and talk to you about how you can prepare yourself to deal with winter weather across White County. It's been quite some time since we have had an opportunity at a significant snow. And at the moment, it looks like that is going to be a good possibility as we head into your Friday. Now, understand, and I say this all the time, and I want to make sure people get this. There is a bust factor to any significant weather event. There's always things that can happen that will prevent the forecast from verifying. And especially during winter weather events, because let's face it, folks, it's not supposed to snow in the southeastern United States. And quite honestly, it takes a miracle. There are a lot of things that have to come into play at the exact right time to get a decent accumulating snow here in the southeastern United States. And so, if you take one of those ingredients away, or if it doesn't get mixed in to the equation at the right time, then you don't get what the models tell us you potentially could get. So some folks are going to be pleasantly surprised if you like this kind of weather. Other folks are going to be disappointed because they're just not going to get what they were hoping they would get. Not saying that'll be the case in White County, but somewhere across North Georgia, Middle Georgia is just not going to do what we're forecasting. And in some places, it's going to do more where we're not forecasting. That's just the way this kind of thing works. So let's go ahead and start taking a look at some of the slides that we have. Now, these slides came from the National Weather Service office out of Peachtree City, Georgia. They held a special public safety / media webinar this afternoon at 12:30, and we host those in our Emergency Operations Center for all of our county offices for planning purposes. We like for them to watch this with us when the Weather Service does these things so that they can hear it right straight from the horse's mouth and be able to make decisions on openings and closings and staffing and response and mitigation and all that kind of thing. So that's where these slides came from today. And I'm just going to kind of go through each one of them and tell you what the Weather Service is telling us here on the public safety side of things as we approach this potential winter storm. We are under a winter storm watch across North Georgia. That watch actually extends all the way down into Middle Georgia on a line north of Washington over to Eatonton, down to Griffin, just north of LaGrange, and even back over into Alabama, Randolph, Clay, Talladega, back over toward Birmingham and north. So basically the northern half of Alabama and Georgia, even up into South Carolina, North Carolina, and Tennessee, all under a winter storm watch at the moment. What does a watch mean? Well, it's kind of like during severe weather, you have severe thunderstorm or tornado watch. It just simply means that we expect there to be some winter weather somewhere in this area as we head towards Saturday. Now, as we get into the overnight hours tonight, the midnight shift at the National Weather Service at Peachtree City will look at the absolute latest information, model runs, upper level air balloon release data, and they will be making a decision during the nighttime hours on whether or not they're going to upgrade to a winter storm warning or maybe upgrade to a winter weather advisory for some locations within that blue area you see there on the map, or they could even add a tier of counties to the south. That is a possibility. So this watch that you see out there right now will get replaced with either a warning or an advisory sometime later on this evening or perhaps into the wee hours of tomorrow morning. For some reason, they like to do these things at about 3 a.m. So it sets off every possible alert notification known to man on my telephone at 3 a.m. Actually, they do that so that they get the package out for the media before they start doing their morning newscast. So that's the situation with the winter storm watch. Of course, we're talking about potential impacts include just about everything you could imagine, from travel problems to potential icing problems toward the end of all of this that could cause some trees to fall. Of course, when the trees fall, you know what happens. We start losing power. Don't anticipate that being a major issue across White County, but it could. And we'll talk more about that in just a few moments. So here is the potential snow sleet accumulations. And this is a probabilistic type approach to forecasting. This is looking at the model output from a probability standpoint on what we think is going to happen. So you can see right there, we're talking anywhere between 3 and 5 inches across White County. That 1 to 3 inch category, though, is right there at the southern end of White County. So I think it's safe to say that anywhere between 1 and 5 inches of snow will be common across White County, with maybe 2 inches down there on the southern end of the county and up to around 5 or 6 in the northern end of the county. You get up in the higher elevations, we're talking about up at Unicoi Gap, up the top of Richard Russell, Yona Mountain, places like that could certainly get 5+ inches of snow before all is said and done Friday evening. So the probability of seeing 1 to 2 inches of snow across White County, Georgia, if you look at that image on the right-hand side of your screen, is going to be in that 85% category, between 70 and 85% chance that we will be seeing snows of 1 to 2 inches or greater. So odds are pretty good here. We're going to see at least 2 inches of snow across White County. Next slide. So here's the potential ice accumulations. Again, this is a probabilistic type of approach to this forecast. We're looking at Friday night, probably high end possibilities there. A 1 in 10 chance is only about 10% that we would see amounts higher than 1 inch. So you really got to get to about 1/4 of an inch of ice or higher before you really start to see problems. And right now, there is a very small chance we would see anything much more than about 1/10 of an inch of ice. If you look down there at the probability at the lower right hand side of the screen, you see we're kind of right there in that 10 to 20% chance that we could see a tenth of an inch of ice accumulation. Now, ordinarily, again, that wouldn't be that big a deal, but you have to understand we may be putting this ice on top of a pretty decent snowpack, and then we could be looking at some wind Friday afternoon late into Friday night, gusting 20, 30 miles per hour. So with that snow load and the ice on top of it, we could start to see some big tree limbs and even some trees snapping too, that could cause some power damage, power line damage, and of course, there would be some power outages with that as well. Next slide. This is a look at what one of the more trusted models is saying the radar is going to look like at about 3 a.m. Friday morning, 3 to 4 a.m. Friday morning. And if this verifies, then I would expect all those areas south of the I 85 corridor up to Atlanta in West Georgia. And then from the I 20 corridor from Atlanta all the way back over toward Augusta would most likely be a very cold rain, maybe a mix. And then from the I 85 corridor to Atlanta, Atlanta east to Augusta north, there would be some freezing rain, sleet, and snow mixed in. And you get up there above I 85 in Georgia, it's going to be all snow. You can see that dark blue just above the pink being the freezing rain, by the way. You see that dark blue right above the pink. So there's a very fine line there where you go from freezing rain to snow. And that dark blue is pretty heavy snow. We're talking maybe 1 to 2 inch snow rates per hour. And we may be looking at multiple hours of being in this by the time it gets over into Georgia. So when this starts on Friday morning, and we think the window of opportunity on Friday morning is probably going to be between 5 a.m. and 8 a.m. as to the onset of all of this. It could start, and it could start quick, fast, and in a hurry, and it could be pretty heavy the first couple of 2 or 3 hours of this event. So, one of the things I'm concerned about, normally when we have a snow event here in North Georgia, it starts off as rain. Typically starts during the day or late afternoon. And then as the sun sets and the temperature cools, the rain slowly starts mixing with snowflakes. You can see those big, huge snowflakes. And then eventually it'll change over to all snow. And then it has to snow for a couple of hours before the ground cools off enough to support accumulation. Not what we're looking at in this particular case. Cold air is going to be in place. It's already in place. It is cold outside. We're not going to warm that much during the day on your Wednesday. It's going to get frigid again on Thursday night. And so any precipitation that falls on your Friday morning early is going to fall as snow across northeast Georgia, and it's going to accumulate quickly. So that's why you need to be mindful of that and understand that once it starts, you're not going to have but 10 or 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, and then the roads are going to become very dangerous very quick. So best idea is just simply not to be out there on the roads. And though most locations have not made a decision on being open or closed on Friday, I think a lot of those decisions will be made tomorrow. The Weather Service will hold another National Weather Service winter weather briefing, of which we will host at the EOC for all of our government partners at 12:30 tomorrow. And I think after we get the absolute latest at 12:30 tomorrow, a lot of decisions will be made. School closures, business closures, government building closures, all those sort of things. Those decisions will be made tomorrow, probably 1, 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Ice and snow, take it slow. That is a good slogan to remember as you leave this briefing here this evening. You need to make sure that you clean off your vehicle before driving. I know from experience, you get behind somebody that's got 6 inches of snow on the roof of their car, and a gust of wind comes up and it just blows all back on the person behind them. So make sure you clean that snow off. Keep it slow and don't use cruise control. Roads can be slick, even if they just look wet. And leave extra distance between you and the person in front of you. Back off even further than you normally would because braking may take a further distance out there on snow covered roadways. So that's some safety tips, ways to stay safe during cold weather. I think it's coming up on the next slide. There it is. Prepare your home for winter weather. Winter storms can knock out power and keep you from traveling for days. So make sure you've got enough food in your home, just in the outside chance that we do start losing the power grid. It may take a day or two to get the power back up. So make sure you have plenty of food and everything that you would need there in your home. Keep enough non-perishable food, water, and medications for 2 to 3 days. Ensure that you have warm clothing and blankets. Make sure that you have an updated first aid kit, and be sure you charge your phone. Keep your phone charged so that if you do lose power, you'll have at least 24 hours available on your phone battery. We've already taken a lot of questions about how things are going to evolve as far as government is concerned. And again, all of those decisions will be made tomorrow. And we will be broadcasting, we'll be doing these live broadcasts throughout the day on your Thursday, and we'll be answering a lot of those questions as we get into tomorrow afternoon. And yeah, so we hope that you will like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you will get the absolute latest information. Also, make sure that you sign up for White County's Code Red alerts. You can do that by texting White CO alerts. That's White Co alerts to 99411. That way, if there are any government closings, if there's any significant weather information, road closures, major power outages, that type of information can be sent to you through the Code Red system if you're signed up for it. So take just a moment if you hadn't already done so and go to Whiteco or text Whiteco alerts to 99411. You could also go to White County website and sign up that way under emergency management as well. Now, we're going to activate our Emergency Operations Center to full activation at midnight Thursday night. So we will have all of our staff in place. We're increasing our staffing for our emergency 911 center, also for our fire departments. We're attempting to man all of our fire stations across the county. So we have been working very hard all day today. We actually started Monday preparing for this, but we've been having meetings all day today. We'll be doing the same thing tomorrow to be as prepared as we possibly can to respond to your needs and mitigate this potential significant winter weather event that will be affecting White County, we think, throughout the day on Friday. The height of this will be during the daylight hours. That's pretty uncommon for us as well. Normally, this happens at 2 o'clock in the morning, but I think the height of all of this is going to start right at sunrise on Friday, and it'll be an all-day event. As we get late in the afternoon, the snow could start changing over to a mixture of snow and sleet and maybe some freezing rain in there. And we may have to deal with that freezing rain for several hours Friday evening up until the end of the precipitation. It should start moving into South Carolina, the backside, by about 9 or 10 o'clock on Friday night. But we're looking at a good 12 hours of frozen precipitation across White County. That could certainly cause some problems. Again, on average, we're talking 2 to 4 inches across White County. Could there be some spots of 5, 6, 7 inches of snow? Yeah, absolutely, there could be. So this has the potential of being significant for our residents of White County, Georgia. Thank you for your time this evening. I appreciate you joining us here on our public safety social media pages. And again, we'll be doing this periodically throughout this entire event, so we'll keep you updated right here on our social media. Get some rest, folks. This is going to be a ride, and we'll have more information for you tomorrow. Again, don't forget, I fully expect us to go under a winter storm warning before we talk again, and that's just part of the process. We'll see you tomorrow here from White County Public Safety. Have a great night.